So on my last body related video I had loads and loads of really great comments that I really enjoyed reading, and quite a few of the comments were talking about family members that have caused you to have body issues. And I've been thinking for a while about making a video about this kind of topic, but I just wasn't sure what the right way of going about it was going to be. So I have decided that I'm going to do it because I think it's a subject that's affected quite a lot of us, and it'll just be really helpful for so many people. So I think it's an important thing to do, an important task. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of start by talking about my personal experience with it. And my immediate family never really made too much of an issue out of it, maybe a little, but my mother is very, very slim. Like, naturally she can eat whatever she wants, and she's very, very slim, but she's also very health aware and eats very healthily because it's kind of the food she likes. So she's always been very, very slim, and I've always found it quite hard because I've always felt like, how is she so slim and I'm not? And even when I've been kind of the slimmest I can be, I still have to work so hard at it. I have to work so hard to maintain it, and it has to occupy every part of my mind for me to stay that way, because if I let it slip even the tiniest bit, then it spirals out of control. And so I've always kind of felt a little bit, not guilty, but I've kind of felt a bit crap, because I felt like, why am I the kind of chubby one? If you put it in that kind of context. But another thing that I've always found was, because as a child I was always told how pretty I was as a child, and I'm not saying it to kind of boast or to brag or anything like that, I'm just saying it because that's really how it was. I was always told how pretty I was when I was a child, and I kind of grew up just hearing pretty. But in today's world, when you're a little bit chubby, people suddenly forget the pretty part and focus just on your weight. So then when I was about 13, 14, even earlier than that actually, no, it was earlier than that, I must have been about 11, 12, I started to kind of get, a little bit chubby. You get puppy fat, you suddenly get hips and stuff, and you're like, whoa, where has this come from? And you're not ready for it at all. And I started getting that, and I started getting kind of people commenting about something that I wasn't even aware about. And I remember sort of overhearing my mum telling someone that she'd had to buy me, like women's size 10 trousers or something when I was like 14 or something like that, which is normal, and she wasn't saying it in a horrible way, she was just saying, but to me it sounded like she was saying that I was obese. And it kind of just stuck, and everywhere I went people would sort of make little comments about it, some people more than others. But I had a family member who, I kind of feel like in a way I shouldn't really be talking about this because what if they ever see it, but I don't really care. A family member who was incredibly overweight, like dangerously overweight. And they were obviously not very happy in themselves because they had let it get to that point and they were not healthy. And they were obviously very unhappy within themselves. And when someone's unhappy within themselves, what do they tend to do? They tend to find someone else to let that unhappiness kind of get out on. And I was that person. Every time I saw this person, they would just tell me how how fat I was, and just make little stupid comments like, grab my belly and say, what's that? And just horrible little things like that that don't seem like very much, but at the time really shattered my confidence, because I didn't want to go to these places where this person was going to be, because I just knew that we were going to have a conversation about my weight. And I remember people like my aunt telling me that you really need to start watching that, you need to have a little word with yourself about keeping your figure. And I remember having a friend who was very slim, and her dad giving us a lift back from the swimming pool, and he said to me that I should start speaking to my mum about how I'm going to maintain my figure. And I was like 11 at the time. I didn't even know what he was talking about. And I think we were like in the car and we were eating ice cream, and he said something about maintaining your figure. And I just sort of thought, oh my God, like, what is this? What does this mean? Why do people keep telling me this? It must mean that there's something, you know, wrong with me, then it must mean that I'm really overweight. And I've never been really, really overweight. I've just been, you know, a little bit chubby. And then other times I've been really, really slim. It kind of just really fluctuates. And then when I was slim, suddenly everybody was all lovely and how great you look and how skinny you are. And, oh, I said the S word. People get offended when I say that. People sort of used to say how great you looked, and then I kind of thought, oh, well, I must have been massive beforehand then, because look what everyone's saying now. And people just used to make these tiny little comments, though even then it was kind of like oh, I remember someone saying to me once, you're not, have you ever been on a diet? And I just sort of looked at her and I was like, yeah. And she goes, oh, it's a shame it didn't work because your mum's really slim. And I was just sort of like, you did not just say that to me. Like, it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. And I can't stress enough, especially when you're a teenager, how destructive it is to talk about bodies and to talk about weight and to talk about food. Yes, you need to be healthy. Yes, you need to raise your children or your sisters or whoever it is that you're around. You need to raise them to kind of be healthy and be aware. But there's a difference between being aware and being too aware. And I was aware at a really, really ridiculously young age, because I look at my sister now, who has just about to start high school. And when I was just about to start high school, I had already developed, shall we put it, and I remember, you know, having boobs and a bum and stretch marks, and my sister is like the most waif thin girl you'll ever see. But that's because that's just how she is. But I remember feeling so aware and self-conscious of this kind of body that I wasn't even ready for, that I didn't even know what it was all about. And I feel like I've always had body issues from a ridiculously young age, because I don't remember kind of a time where I wasn't aware of it. Obviously there was a time when I was much younger, but it's too young for me to remember. And from as young as I can remember, I can remember body issues, because I can remember people putting it out to my attention. And it's really difficult, I know, like if you've got a daughter or someone who's a little bit chubby and you don't want to see them that way and you want to make sure that they're healthy, it can be really hard. But personally, I just think if they seem like they're happy and if they seem like they're confident, then you should just leave it. You shouldn't even mention it, because at the end of the day, if they're not happy, a time will come, because it always does for women, where you'll decide that you want to change something and you'll do it. People pointing it out to you is just not going to change anything, and people pointing it out to teenage girls is the worst possible idea, in my opinion. I just think that it's just absolutely destroying, and there's just no reason for it. I know people who do it, who have got young teenage daughters, and who will kind of make little comments about their weight and their figure and how much they eat, and I just think it's just terrible to make someone aware. You want to be unaware. It's not a good thing how aware we all are of what we look like today and how aware we all are of our weight. You know, you shouldn't be 11 and wondering how much you weigh. You shouldn't even care. But you do, because people are constantly telling you that you should from a really young age. And a lot of people in the comments were saying to me that, you know, they're mothers, and it tends to be a thing with mothers, and I think a lot of the time mothers do influence your body image in quite a big way. And people saying that their mothers tell them that they're overweight and that they need to change and all that kind of thing. And I know that it can be so difficult to just kind of zone yourself out of the situation and just think to yourself, that's what they think, that's okay, they're entitled to think that, they're entitled to feel that way. But if I really felt that way, I would do something. And if I feel unhappy, then I will change it, but I will not change it because of anybody else. And I think sometimes you just need to remove yourself from those people. And I'm not saying, you know, like never speak to your mother again, but remove yourself from that situation. If that happens, just try and just sort of smile and get up and go in the other room, and just keep doing that until they realise that, you know, it's not on, or try and have a kind of honest conversation about the fact that it really bothers you. Because some people it'll make a difference with. The person that I'm talking about, it didn't really make a difference with them, because I mentioned it and a few other friends of mine kind of mentioned it to them and they still did it. So eventually I just try and stay as far away from that person as I can. And I've even had that person say things to me on Facebook, which is just, you know, how much time do you have on your hands? But I've deleted them from Facebook, and I just will not let that presence be in my life. I'm just not that person anymore that I will have that kind of behaviour, because I just think that, you know, we do so much judgment on our own, and we do so much self-loathing on our own, that we don't need anyone else to point it out for us, especially not people who are in your family who are meant to support you and love you. You don't need to kind of accept that kind of behaviour. And I know that it kind of sounds really harsh and a little bit difficult, but at the same time I do think that it's really, really important for everyone to have a decent amount of self-esteem and to feel confident, because it's so easy to knock someone's confidence like that, and then that's it. And when you're at those impressionable years, it affects you so hugely, and it'll affect you for the rest of your life. So I know that you're young and you don't really think about it, but it is such an important topic, and I just think that you've got to try really, really hard to not let it get to you. And if you are a family member and you know that you're doing it to someone, then please just think about it, and think about what I've said and how devastating it can be for that person, because it really, really is something that can kind of make you or break you. So I hope that you found this video interesting and it offered you a little bit of just insight into my personal experience about it. Like I said, it's just what I think, it's my personal experience. I'm not an expert in any of this kind of stuff. And yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed it. As always, comment away. I love to read the comments on these types of videos, and I hope that you all have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.